The Mercedes OM617 turbo diesel has powered taxis to over 1 million miles without major rebuilds. Toyota's 1UZ-FE V8 engines regularly exceed 500,000 miles with basic maintenance, and the Ford 300 inline-six earned legendary status by running forever in work trucks. But which engine holds the all-time mileage record? Why do some designs last 10 times longer than others? And what separates a million-mile motor from one that dies at 100,000? These are 10 incredible car engines that can hit 1,000 miles and completely redefine reliability. Number 10, the Volvo Red Block Revolution. The Volvo Red Block engines, the B1, B23, and B230, might look boring, but they're secretly immortal. These overhead cam 4 cylinders powered Volvos from 1975 to 1998, and they just refused to die. The secret? Volvo overbuilt everything. The forged steel crankshaft was designed to handle twice the power. The connecting rods were beefier than necessary. The cylinder walls were thicker than competitors. One famous example is Irv Gordon's 1966 Volvo P1800 with its V18 engine, a red block predecessor. He drove it over 3.2 million miles. That's not a typo, 3.2 million. The car outlived him. These engines love high mileage because they're understressed. Making only 114 horsepower from 2.3 liters means nothing works hard. The timing belt needs changing every 70,000 miles. But that's about it. Change the oil, replace the belt, and watch the odometer spin past 500,000, then past 1 million. Swedish taxi drivers discovered this decades ago. In Stockholm, million-mile red block Volvos were common. The engines outlasted multiple transmissions, several interiors, and countless sets of tires. The blocks themselves rarely failed. When properly maintained, these simple 4 cylinders achieve something remarkable. They become virtually indestructible. The red block proves that conservative engineering and quality materials beat fancy technology every time. Number 9, the ALH TDI miracle. Volkswagen's 1.9-liter ALH TDI engine from 1998-2003 created a cult following for good reason. These turbocharged diesels regularly hit 400,000 miles without major work. Some have passed 700,000. A few documented examples exceeded 1 million. The ALH wasn't particularly advanced. It used old-school mechanical injection with a distributor-type pump. No fancy common rail, no piezo injectors, just simple, proven technology that worked. The engine made only 90 horsepower, but it returned 50 miles per gallon on the highway. Owners quickly learned the ALH's secret. It thrived on highway miles. Long-distance commuters watched their odometers climb past 300,000, then 400,000, with nothing but oil changes and timing belt replacements every 100,000 miles. The injection pump lasted forever if you didn't run it dry. The turbocharger survived hundreds of thousands of miles. Even the glow plugs rarely failed. One documented Jetta TDI in North Carolina crossed 450,000 miles on the original clutch. The owner changed oil every 10,000 miles with specific VW-approved synthetic. That's it. The car looked terrible. Rust, dents, torn seats, but the engine purred like new. The ALH proved that diesel efficiency and longevity could exist in an affordable car. While competitors' gas engines needed rebuilds at 200,000 miles, these TDIs just kept going and going and going. Number 8, the Toyota 1HZ Unstoppable Force. The Toyota 1HZ might be the toughest engine ever bolted into a Land Cruiser. This 4.2-liter naturally aspirated diesel inline-six makes a pathetic 129 horsepower. It's slow, it's noisy, it's agricultural, it's also virtually indestructible. Toyota designed the 1HZ for one purpose: to run forever in the world's harshest conditions. No turbo to fail, no intercooler to clog, no complex electronics, just pure mechanical simplicity. The cast iron block weighs a ton. The crankshaft is massively overbuilt. The injection pump is purely mechanical. Everything is designed to survive decades of abuse. In Australia's outback, 1HZ-powered 70 series Land Cruisers routinely pass 500,000 kilometers without rebuilds. Mining companies run them to 1 million kilometers, then rebuild them and run them again. One documented example in Africa logged 1.6 million kilometers hauling supplies through the desert. The engine had never been opened. African taxi operators discovered something amazing. The 1HZ actually gets more reliable with age. Once the rings seat properly around 100,000 kilometers, fuel economy improves and the engine loosens up. These engines run on terrible fuel, survive missed oil changes, and tolerate dust that would kill lesser motors. They're not fast, refined, or efficient by modern standards. But when you absolutely need to reach your destination, regardless of conditions, the 1HZ delivers. It's the cockroach of engines, ugly, simple, and impossible to kill. Number 7, the GM 3800 surprise. Nobody expected the GM 3800 V6 to become a million-mile hero. But that's exactly what happened. This pushrod V6 powered everything from Buick LeSabres to Pontiac Bonnevilles, and it had a hidden superpower. It simply wouldn't die. The Series 2 version from 1995 to 2005 was the sweet spot. GM fixed the earlier coolant problems and created an engine that laughed at high mileage. The secret was simplicity. No overhead cams, no variable valve timing, no direct injection. Just push rods, 2 valves per cylinder, and bulletproof reliability. Taxi companies discovered this first. In New York City, Crown Victoria cabs were legendary, but Buick LeSabre taxis with 3800s often outlasted them. One documented Chicago cab crossed 540,000 miles on the original engine. The transmission failed twice. The engine never did. The 3800's party trick was running forever on basic maintenance. Change the oil every 5,000 miles. Replace the intake gaskets around 100,000 miles. The only real weakness. Maybe do a water pump at 200,000. That's it. These engines tolerated neglect like champions. Owners who forgot oil changes still made it to 300,000 miles. Those who maintained them properly saw 400,000, 500,000, and beyond. The engine compartment might leak every fluid known to man. The car might rattle like a paint shaker. But that 3800 would fire up every morning and purr like a kitten. It proved that sometimes old-school American engineering got things exactly right. Number 6, the Toyota 22R legend. The Toyota 22R and its fuel-injected 22RE sibling might be the most beloved 4-cylinder engines ever built. From 1981 to 1985, these 2.4-liter motors powered millions of pickup trucks and 4Runners. They weren't powerful, just 116 horsepower, but they were immortal. The recipe was simple: single overhead cam, chain-driven timing that never needed adjustment, forged connecting rods that belonged in a race engine, a timing chain that lasted 300,000 miles. Everything was overbuilt. Toyota engineers famously tested these engines by running them at full throttle for hundreds of hours straight. They wanted an engine that could survive anything, and they succeeded. The stories are legendary. A 1985 pickup with 487,000 miles on Craigslist. A 4Runner with 650,000 miles still running strong. One documented case in Chile showed a Hilux with over 1 million kilometers, all original, never rebuilt. The 22R thrived on neglect. Owners who changed oil whenever they remembered still reached 300,000 miles. Those who maintained them properly saw astronomical mileage. The engine would outlast the frame, which would rust away while the motor kept running. Third world countries still run 22R-powered Toyotas as taxis, delivery trucks, and farm vehicles. Parts are plentiful, repairs are simple, and the engines just keep going. When the apocalypse comes, cockroaches and 22R engines will inherit the earth. And before our final 5 revelations, don't forget to hit subscribe for more automotive deep dives and comment below which engine you'd trust for 1,000,000 miles. Number 5. The Cummins 6BT Destroyer. The Cummins 6BT 5.9-liter diesel isn't just reliable, it's practically immortal. This inline-six turbo diesel first appeared in Dodge Ram pickups in 1989, and it immediately rewrote the rules for longevity. We're talking about engines that routinely hit 500,000 miles in pickup trucks. In commercial applications, they pass 1 million without breaking a sweat. The 12-valve version from 1989-1998 is the legend. No computer controls, purely mechanical injection. A Bosch P-pump that runs forever. Everything is massive. The crankshaft weighs 120 pounds alone. The block is so overbuilt that tuners safely triple the factory power output. But here's the insane part. Even heavily modified engines last forever. One documented Ram in Montana has 837,000 miles pulling heavy trailers. Original engine, original turbo, original injection pump. The owner changes oil every 5,000 miles and has replaced the lift pump twice. That's it. Cummins designed this engine for industrial use, generators, boats, construction equipment. Putting it in a pickup truck was like using a sledgehammer to drive thumbtacks. It's hilariously overbuilt for the application, which is why they last so long. School bus companies love them. Delivery fleets swear by them. One documented motorhome crossed 1.2 million miles, hauling a 15,000-pound RV around America. The engine outlasted 2 transmissions, 3 turbos, and 5 sets of injectors, but the bottom end remained untouched. When properly maintained, the 6BT doesn't wear out. Everything around it does. Number 4. The Ford 300 Workhorse. Ford's 300 cubic inch inline-six might be the greatest American engine nobody talks about. From 1965 to 1996, this 4.9-liter straight-six powered millions of F-150s, Broncos, and E-Series vans. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't powerful, it was unstoppable. The design was ancient even when new. Pushrod operated, 2 valves per cylinder, a carburetor until 1987. But Ford did something brilliant. They used 7 main bearings to support the crankshaft. Most 6s used 4. This meant the crank couldn't flex, bearings lasted forever, and the bottom end was bulletproof. Even better, Ford used a gear-driven camshaft instead of a timing chain. No stretch, no replacement, just gears that meshed perfectly for hundreds of thousands of miles. UPS ran thousands of delivery trucks with 300s. Many crossed 500,000 miles still running perfectly. One documented F-150 in Texas reached 983,000 miles hauling construction equipment. Original engine, never rebuilt. The owner claimed it still didn't burn oil. The 300 made peak torque at just 1,600 RPM, so it never worked hard. Highway cruising at 2,000 RPM meant minimal wear. These engines loved to loaf along, sipping fuel and accumulating miles. They'd run on bad gas, survive overheating, and tolerate missed oil changes. Rural mail carriers still run 300-powered trucks because they start every morning, regardless of temperature or maintenance history. When Ford discontinued it in 1996, commercial fleet operators stockpiled them. They knew they'd never build another engine this durable. Number 3, the Toyota 2JZ GE Sleeper. Everyone knows the 2JZ GTE from the Super Turbo, but the naturally aspirated 2JZ GE might be the better million-mile candidate. This 3.0-liter inline-six powered Lexus GS 300s, SC 300s, and Toyota Soarers from 1991 to 2005. Without turbos to stress it, this engine just runs forever. Toyota built the 2JZ like they were trying to win an engineering award. Iron block, forged steel crankshaft, 6-bolt main caps, oil squirters cooling the pistons. The same bottom end as the turbo version, but making a relaxed 220 horsepower instead of 320. The result? An engine that laughs at high mileage. Lexus dealers report multiple GS300s crossing 400,000 miles on original engines. One documented SC300 in California has 567,000 miles. The owner does nothing special, just synthetic oil changes and regular maintenance. The engine uses no oil between changes. In Japan, where these engines powered Toyota Crown taxis, million-kilometer examples aren't unusual. The engines outlast multiple transmissions and still run smoothly. Compression tests at 500,000 miles often show factory specifications. The 2J's GE proves that detuning for reliability works. By using turbo-spec internals in a naturally aspirated application, Toyota created an engine with massive safety margins. It's like buying a Rolex and using it as a paperweight. Complete overkill, but it'll last forever. Number 2. The Toyota 1UZ-FE masterpiece. The 1UZ-FE might be the finest V8 engine Japan ever produced. This 4.0-liter all-aluminum dual-overhead cam V8 debuted in the 1989 Lexus LS400, and it immediately set new standards for smoothness and reliability. Toyota spent 6 years and $1 billion developing it. The goal? Create a V8 that would run 250,000 miles without major service. They exceeded their own target by a hilarious margin. The over-engineering was absurd. 6-bolt main bearing caps, unheard of in production V8s. A forged steel crankshaft when cast iron would suffice. Stainless steel exhaust valves. Pistons designed for 1 million heat cycles. Every detail focused on longevity. The famous commercial showing champagne glasses balanced on the running engine wasn't just marketing. These engines were so smooth that mechanics couldn't feel them running. At 400,000 miles, they still passed that test. Matt Farah's million-mile Lexus proved the point. His 1996 LS400 crossed 1 million miles with multiple journalists beating on it. The 1UZ never complained. Compression remained within factory spec. Oil consumption stayed minimal. It just kept running. Lexus dealers collected stories of original owners crossing 500,000 miles with nothing but maintenance. One documented LS400 in Saudi Arabia showed 1.3 million kilometers. The interior was destroyed by sun and sand, but the engine ran perfectly. The 1UZ proved that reliability and refinement weren't mutually exclusive. You could build a sophisticated high-tech engine that also lasted forever. Number 1. The Mercedes OM617 million-mile king. The Mercedes-Benz OM6 isn't just reliable, it's the undisputed king of million-mile engines. This 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-5 diesel powered Mercedes W123s, W126, and G-Wagons from 1974 to 1991. It's the engine that defined the phrase, built like a tank. The statistics are staggering. In Greece, OM617 powered taxis routinely crossed 1 million kilometers. In Morocco, they passed 2 million. One documented taxi in Athens reached 2.8 million kilometers, 1.7 million miles, on the original engine, never rebuilt, still running when retired. Mercedes engineered these engines for extremes. The cast iron block was massively thick. The crankshaft was forged from premium steel. The pre-combustion chamber design was inefficient but indestructible. Everything was overbuilt by factors of 2 or 3. The mechanical injection system was crude but bulletproof. No computers, no sensors. Just a Bosch mechanical pump that would run forever on cooking oil if necessary. These engines survived on fuel that would destroy modern diesels. They tolerated 20,000-mile oil change intervals in African taxi service. The OM617 made only 123 horsepower from 3 liters, but it would make that power forever. Acceleration was glacial. Top speed was academic. But the engine would outlive you, your children, and possibly your grandchildren. Mercedes used these engines in their Unimog military vehicles and G-Wagon utility trucks. They powered generators in remote locations. They ran irrigation pumps in the desert. Wherever absolute reliability mattered more than anything else, you'd find an OM617. Modern engines are cleaner, more powerful, and more efficient. But none match the OM617's ability to accumulate astronomical mileage without major service. It remains the gold standard for automotive immortality. When the last car on Earth finally stops running, it'll probably have an OM617 under the hood, still idling perfectly.